Hey everyone, Brian here wishing you a great Friday and a wonderful weekend ahead. This Sunday's gospel comes from the gospel according to Matthew, and it's, for me, a kind of delicious little story. Some Pharisees and actually representatives of King Herod's court come and try to test Jesus and try to snag him or catch him somehow so that they could legitimately arrest him. And they ask, is it legitimate to pay taxes to Caesar? That may seem like a relatively simple question, but of course, given the tensions and the circumstances of living under the thumb of Roman rule, it was a pretty complex question. It was a very controversial question at the time. Jesus had made it somewhat controversial for him by not paying certain taxes himself. And so it was a poignant moment. What I love about the moment is Jesus asks for a coin and asks the same group whose head is on the coin, and they say Caesar's, and there's that famous response of Jesus, then render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is God's. What I like about it, but really the reason I'm mentioning it here on the Friday introduction to the weekend, is that we're living in a time where those questions by the Pharisees to Jesus are just as real for us today. They're trying to pick apart whose side are you on? Are you on the side of pure Judaism, or are you on the side of Judaism that will give itself over and coordinate or kind of submit yourself to the Hellenistic world of the Roman Empire? And for first century Jews, there wasn't much wiggle room between those two positions, and there was a lot of hostility between the two groups. We are living that way right now, at least poignantly at this moment. There are lots of hostilities like this around the world. I'm speaking on Friday afternoon. I'm recording on Thursday afternoon. You'll get this Friday morning. And for you, the president will have spoken last night. I don't know what he's going to say at this point, but he's going to speak both about the conflicts between Israel and the administration, the warring faction in Gaza, and also between Russia and Ukraine. But in both places, we see that over and over again. There's no wiggle room between Hamas and the government and people of Israel, even though so many Israelis and Palestinians are caught in the middle. The same thing is true in these sort of fracture points all around the world, where Russia either legitimately, or at least uses as an excuse, the idea that their territory has to be kept safe by ensuring that Ukraine does not lead toward the West. China feels the same way about Hong Kong and Taiwan. We feel the same way about Cuba and Central America. And these are all based on projected fears of what might happen or could happen in the future, which leads to terrible deeds right in the present. We're also aware that there's this kind of dualistic conflict in Washington as members of the Republican caucus find it difficult to find a compromise candidate who they can all get behind to lead, to become Speaker of the House. And so we're seeing this fractiousness in the 21st century, which is very much like Jesus experienced in the first. But Jesus did not choose sides. And that's not something we can always do as people, but I think it should always be our first choice as Christians, to abhor violence and regret these battle lines that seem so important to us at the time, and to remember the horror that these kinds of violent battles do. I'm thinking of this in particular today because the Al-Ali Arab Hospital that was bombed earlier this week, very likely by some group within Gaza rather than the Israeli military, but regardless, that hospital killed literally hundreds of people who were there to find a place of healing. On its website, the hospital is proud to call itself a place of peace. It's an institution of the Anglican Diocese of Jerusalem, and it's under the aegis of the Anglican Archbishop there, Hossan Naum. And it's a reminder that the Church is at its best when it is peacefully in the midst of these conflicts, providing hope, nurture, health, safety to people. And the people who built this hospital, with, by the way, leadership from the Diocese of Virginia here in the United States, understood they were creating an institution in an extremely vulnerable and volatile part of the world. But they built it anyway, and I'm sure it will be rebuilt itself. And you may remember Jesus saying that we only need faith the size of a mustard seed. Every Good Friday, when Church of Our Savior takes a collection at the Good Friday services, that money does not go to COS or to the Diocese of Chicago. It goes directly to the Diocese of Jerusalem. So who knows, perhaps the few dollars you might have put in the plate here on a Good Friday went into the construction or the support of that hospital. And so all of us at Church of Our Savior have a piece, perhaps, of this amazing institution that stood, rather than trying to associate with one side or the other, trying to claim that it had the moral high ground. It was simply there to care for people. That's what I think Jesus is all about. But sometimes, oddly enough, hard to find that middle place. So I invite you to come and celebrate our little mustard seed, our little grain of yeast reality here at Church of Our Savior, to stand with Jesus and to stand with all those who suffer. Have a great weekend, and hope to see you Sunday, 7:45, 9 o'clock, or 10:45. Thanks so much, and God bless.